Jotham, Michael, Tay. See how I said all their real names and just went to my nickname?
No.
One Rich, JT, Tay.
No. Let's go silver trumpets.
ST.
Okay.
Okay, fam. Okay.
I was about to say something, but that's like, when you start a sermon from in the middle, like right away, it's like a hype and
We'll bring them back. We'll bring them back.
maybe
Bring them
maybe
back.
maybe it's the definition of crying that we need to talk about. So
Alright.
that when we say men don't cry, are we talking of tears and breaking down, or is there more to crying than what exactly that literally meets the eye? Yes, is there more to crying and it snaps for himself than meets the eye? Because if crying, what would you call? How do I put it? Let's go Bible a bit. What would you call? I don't even know if it's scripture, but I've heard songs. The cry of my heart is to be na 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 na.
So
If you're gonna talk of a cry of a heart, what's that?
Alright,
What's
cool.
the difference?
So we need to snap away from the definition of tears and
exactly.
crying.
So that if we're to justify men crying, or show why and how
I'm afraid
men
to
cry,
let the people know that you shed tears.
I do.
No,
I
we-
shed tears,
Okay, thank
Or
you.
either we can pick it
especially
Grown up man.
in the presence, like snot and everything.
Ew.
That's me.
I don't snort.
Like where you come out from that. Yeah, when the Lord like just embarrasses you in His presence. But it's not even about me not crying. It's like I think it's a definition, so that if we can redefine it, we'll make people comfortable, I guess, with being able to cry.
No, we can pick it up from the physical crying. Yeah. Let's talk about that element where do men cry, don't cry. Then, after sorting it out, then we talk about, okay, if they don't physically cry, but is there a cry out there?
I got to a point where let's also draw examples from your own life. This is life. But okay, check it out. There was one time where I needed to cry, and I honestly couldn't cry. Like you have so much that
And
is-
he
that
didn't
is-
ask me to slap him.
No, of course not. There's so much that is built in, and you actually need to cry. Right? Like you need to let it out. But I actually couldn't, and I wished I knew how to let out. Because I think when
Onion.
people, but the essence of crying, when this topic comes up though, for us it's always been seen as a point of weakness, really.
Yeah.
If you're a man that cries, it's a point of weakness for you, and we're trained up not to cry. We're trained up
Not
to be
to show
strong.
emotion.
Not to
Yeah.
show emotion.
Yeah.
But
You know what I
isn't
mean?
that why
Public.
men crack? A lot of men crack.
Yes.
And you find,
I agree.
is it possible? Oh, feels like I'm going into sermon mode.
Let's do this.
Men don't cry.
It's good. It's good.
Is it possible that every time you cracked you were crying? Is it possible that when you ended up having to beat your wife, you were actually crying? Is it possible that when you went and drank your head off, you were
That's your
actually
cry.
crying? Is it
Okay.
possible that when you went and drove at whatever speed, or you went and became reckless and picked up a hookah or whatnot, that all that was actually a man crying?
Gotcha.
So
We do cry. So I think what's important is now
How?
for people. No, not really how. We'll get to the how. Which is
5 steps on how to cry.
How to cry.
Open your eyes.
Which is important, but also people need to identify the outlets, because crying is an outlet. Huh?
Gotcha.
The flow of the emotions coming out. So since men are raised not to show their emotions, meaning in a fundamental way, water from your eyes, we find other ways of crying. And if you bring it to relationships, then your partner needs to know how you cry.
Okay.
Not necessarily your eyes,
Yeah.
water, but there's a cry. So how do you do it?
How do you
And
cry?
I think that would help the man. Okay.
Because
And
the whole element or context of comfort would be based on their knowledge of how you cry.
Okay.
Lest one time they come and beat you up whilst you're already down because they don't know that you're crying.
Tell me about it.
Exactly.
I got you.
Can end up being one of those, and it really shouldn't be. So, yeah, in a flipped sense, how do they do it? Men, how do they cry? Because an easy example to always go to when people want to talk of crying and stuff, I think Bible-wise for me, is always the John 11:35, where like Jesus wept.
Yes, but yeah.
Okay, so weeping is a type of crying, if you want to put it that way. And I guess one of the easiest times to find a man crying or weeping is when there's been loss.
Yeah.
But truth be told, there has been people who've gone through loss with the men don't cry thingy in the back of their head, and they've ended up not even weeping or allowing. Oh my God, those are beautiful.
Focus, just
Yeah, like I just saw 2 German shepherds. Yes, it's a guy thing. Okay, but there's people who've gone through life, and something's happened, and they've ended up not expressing it because they're coming from, I guess, the wanting to be strong for themselves, for society, and for the people around them, that they end up not even weeping or crying in any form. Because I think the essence of crying maybe should be this. We should look at it this way. It's allowing the weakness, allowing the vulnerability, allowing that moment where you're able to like break down and be open. Like, for instance, let me give an example. If Jotham is that morally upright guy and everybody knows him for that and whatnot, and then one day I falter, I fall, something happens. It happens, yes.
We don't have to be that specific.
No.
In metaphoric terms, a specific metaphoric term.
It's with a sh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes, but it happens. My being able, despite the picture people have of me, my being able to come to my boys, for instance, and be vulnerable and say, guys, the moral standard has fallen, or this own that seems to be all high and mighty has lost it. I think that's a form of crying.
And also maybe now this idea I'm not with it 100%.
Fully developed.
Yeah, so
Let's
I'm
get
developing it right now.
Let's
Okay,
go.
so I think I wasn't there when the person, whoever coined it, the men don't cry. I think the idea behind that is don't cry in front of people. Okay. Now I think where it's gone to now is don't cry. Okay.
Don't let it out.
Like the idea,
Show your weakness.
Yes, the idea is don't show your weakness.
Okay.
But allow yourself to be weak at some point. Now it almost reached the
I want to
place.
agree and disagree.
Yeah,
with that line.
it almost seems as if it's reached the place where don't be weak. So even in a point where you're by yourself and you're supposed to be in touch with reality, in touch with your emotions, yeah, you don't do it. Because if you feel a tear coming down and you're by yourself, men don't cry.
You're trained.
Exactly. So
Like,
that's
hold it back in.
So like I'm thinking about it, like the
So,
person
like-
who came up with a men don't cry, what was
The intent. Okay,
Exactly.
So instead of us shooting down the concept of it, let's look at what the intent was.
yes, and over time has it been diluted? Was it a good thing when it was starting at first?
I can agree with that because I have the mindset that each generation trains up their people or takes on certain practices based on what is efficient in that timeline. So what the,
I was just trying to see if I would disappear in the shot.
maybe no, I think it goes up to here, but threw me off a little bit.
Men get distracted.
Intent. The
Can you
intent.
still see my melanin?
The intent of it as okay, look at old age, right? In the olden days, you had war, you had men going to war. Okay, well, I think I'm about to go into a different topic. But you had the responsibilities of what men needed to be in the society, where men were a sign of strength. You know what I'm saying? You were the ones going to war to die. Like horrible things were expected to happen to you as a man. If somebody comes to attack the village, men should be willing to lay their lives down. You know.
I think.
So.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
So building off that, you want to build strength for men. You know what I mean? You're a symbol of society. You are a symbol of our strength in society. So we need you to be strong. That doesn't mean, so as from a time that you're a boy, you shouldn't be whining about anything anyhow. So they tell you, men don't cry. Men don't whine about anything anyhow. Be strong. Don't just express your emotions. But I think over time, what's required of men changes in each generation.
Yeah.
Technology, time, how society works together. So
What's
how
sad is not even what's required of men. Going in sync with what we're talking about, they have messed up the whole ball game, and they have changed the definition of what a man is depending on what context you're in.
You want to go there?
Yes, exactly.
You want to go there?
Because on one end,
do you want to go there?
on one end, if you're gonna talk responsibility, taking care of your family, how
Jesus.
backed up you are, what type of car you drive,
Alright.
in other circles, you're being a man. say.
Or maybe we should have defined where
Well,
man
Yes,
is
yes,
before
you're
they
being
crying.
That's
you're
all
being
though.
a man. Exactly, because that maybe should be a different topic, like
Sorry,
who is a
I'm
man or what is a man and
And
things.
the crying aspect. What is
Because
crying?
then
You
bring
know,
it back,
break it
because
down.
truth
then
be told,
bring
that's
it
a
even
whole
the
topic
definition.
too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That
But
is a whole
maybe let me come at it from this angle, connecting the two, a bit of a sidebar. So I've been going through. I'm getting married 6th June. Yeah. I've been
Thug
going through
life.
this whole counseling, whatever. Started with the traditional counseling with my grandpa, then now came in. We're now doing the church counseling. So there's certain times, certain things are said, and I hear them, but to some extent, I hope you don't watch this, Pastor T, but I disagree.
What a way for him, what a way for him to find out you
respect,
disagree, fam.
I will not say anything.
And I would,
With different thought line,
and I would like to
respond.
detach myself from any comments. No, but there's certain things I don't agree with in how they are put out.
Okay.
Because
Let's go.
I was having let me give a twofold example. I think part of being a man is not a role. We've made being a man a role. What it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be a function.
Okay.
That's what I think it is. And the difference between role and function in essence is this. So when we talk of role and we say the role of a man, you say, no, he's supposed to provide, he's supposed to be the one doing the gardening, he's supposed to be doing this, that. Okay? So some people go that route. But in essence, I think it's more about function. Because when we talk of the man being the head of the house, it's the function of the head, not necessarily the role. What I mean by it, if I could take it further, is I always give this example. I have an aunt. I don't know if you've met her, Auntie Maggie. She works for Pilates.
Maybe.
Pilates. So this aunt of mine, female, by the way, just in case people don't know that aunt is female. Female aunt. This female aunt of mine. Yes,
Sure,
she
audience
can.
is African. They can take it.
Female is
she-
like Iron Man, right? Like Iron Male, right?
Yes, female.
F male.
You'll catch it soon. On Tuesday.
Should I wanna catch it?
Yes.
Go on.
Periodic table. Iron is Fe. Yes. Okay. Now that take caught up. So she can rip out a BMW engine, so to speak.
Okay.
I've got a friend. He's a chef
Okay.
from church. So
Alright.
if this chef married this mechanic of an aunt, who would be the man? Who would be the woman? Because by certain standards of society, you would feel there's been a switch. Because she's seemingly doing the more manly things.
So,
So
can
that's
we,
where the problem
so can
is.
we say roles change based on what's needed? Function doesn't.
Exactly.
So, for example,
So,
a knife. A knife is a sharp instrument you can use to cut things.
yes.
In the kitchen, you can use it to cut vegetables.
Yes.
But if you do need to untie something somewhere,
You can probably
still use it.
exactly. So we don't limit something to roles, but we are more functional. So that even when we go back to now the topic of strength and being thingy, there's nothing. Truth be told, there's nothing that says if I break down and have a good crying session, then I'm less a man, and that I can't come from crying and then come and be strong for my family or be strong for you and whatnot. Remember that story in the Bible where David and his owns come back, and I think, I don't know if it's from Ziklag. Is that 1st or 2nd Samuel chapter 30? And they find their wives stolen and
Really dead
everything
and stuff,
whatnot. These guys literally broke down. It was wow, this nice thing. And these are the men of war. These are the ones who've just come from battle and won something. And then David, to make it worse, not only are they crying, in their state of crying, check this out. This is nice. In their state of crying, they exhibit strength enough to want to kill David. Get the irony. So they were crying, but they were still strong enough to want to kill a person who was responsible for their lives being stolen. So I don't think crying takes away from the strength of who we are, and maybe that's the mistake that the people that maybe came up with the concept like you're trying to explain made, where it started with crying, weakness, be strong, and then suddenly just go to a place where it's almost like now we don't cry at all because it's a sign of weakness.
Men shouldn't whine though.